Ladies and gentlemen, here is the most famous voice in the world, Larry King.
Hello, hello, hello. In the early 1900s, Las Vegas was just a wide spot on a narrow road in the Nevada desert. Cowboys and mules drank bad whiskey side by side, and as you can see, some of the mules looked better than the cowboys. More and more saloons began to line the new Las Vegas Strip. It was about 1915 when the first showgirl arrived. Splash, the early years. They say that the cowboys actually thought about bringing back some of the mules. Airmail by horseback made the post office faster than it is today. In the roaring 20s, folks couldn't drink themselves into oblivion, so they turned to gambling. As soon as Prohibition was repealed, the chips really hit the fan, and the Las Vegas boom was on. They even built the Hoover Dam nearby to provide more electricity to keep Las Vegas as shiny as Paris Hilton's lip gloss. In the 40s and 50s, I got my first pair of Paisley suspenders, and Las Vegas was on its way to becoming the show business capital of the world.
Recently, Las Vegas, Nevada was the scene of the first annual HBO Comedy Festival, which drew an audience of 60,000 people and was attended by everybody who is anybody in the world of comedy. There were many of the greats, most of the near greats, and all of the ingrates in one place at one time. The event, that sold out the minute it was announced, took place at the Flamingo Hotel. Together on stage for the first time ever were some of the comics who worked in Vegas in the old days and were responsible for creating what became known as Las Vegas comedy. There was Shelley Berman, George Carlin, Norm Crosby, Phyllis Diller, Shecky Greene, and Jerry Lewis.
You've just seen some of the history of Las Vegas as told through the physical development of a barren desert that grew to become the incredible city we know today. But the growth of a city like Las Vegas can't really be measured by the number of rooms in the hotels. The real heart and soul of the city, at least for folks like us, is the quality of entertainment. And by any standard, Las Vegas entertainers have made history. It was almost mandatory that they devote at least one event for the comedians who contributed so much to the creation of Las Vegas as the performance capital of the world. Now, true, there was Frank and Elvis and Lena and Judy and Marlene, movie stars, recording artists. They appeared for 2 weeks at a time, but the backbone of Las Vegas was the comedians like Burl and Benny and Durante and Burns, Alan King, Joey Lewis, the Ritz brothers, and of course the great Martin and Lewis. And they're the people who gave Las Vegas the tumult, the excitement, and the sense of humor. And some of the members of that group are with us this evening. We affectionately and respectfully refer to them as the Founders. Back then, every show in Las Vegas would start out with a line of girls. We do not have a line of girls, but we do have a girl with a line. Here she is in her very first television appearance with Groucho Marx. Watch, Groucho is the one on the right.
I'm an entertainer.
When did you arrive at this decision?
Well, I was much too old.
You mean all 5 kids were squawking one morning?
They
and
were yelling and screaming.
He says, enough of this, I'm going to be an entertainer?
Well, sort of like that.
Could you do a little of your act now?
It's kind of difficult. I mean, I can't.
I know it is, but the audience, they're in a receptive mood right now.
Well, I know they like my dress. But Mr. Marx was talking about his psychiatrist, and I decided I'd surely better be well-adjusted before I went into such a shaky business, and so I decided I should be analyzed, and I went to this analyst. He's helped me a great deal. In fact, I am so much better now that I get to sit up.
Here is the first female stand-up comic to star in a main room in Las Vegas, the beautiful Phyllis Diller.
Thank you. Here's my check. Thank you very much.
Our next founder was responsible for introducing the revolutionary concept of entertainment that went on all night long. Here's a very young Shecky Greene with a sample of what made him such a tremendous draw. Watch.
I said, Gene, can I ask you something? As we spent billions and billions of dollars to send you people to the moon, yet in the congressional record, there was no record of how you people went to the toilet. How did you go to the toilet? Did you go on a space capsule? He's, no. I said, where'd you go? He's on the moon. I says, you went on the moon? The beautiful symbol of love you desecrated by going on the moon? I said, what did you do on the moon? Now, this brilliant scientific mind couldn't give me a scientific explanation. Like little Harold, he said, we made a caca on the moon. Oh, there's caca on the moon tonight. That is why the moon is not too bright. There is caca on the moon, there is caca on the moon, there's caca on the moon tonight. What's funny about that, in about 3 years, the Russians will finally get up there. Could you see a Russian cosmonaut walk around the moon surface?
Please welcome the first stand-up comic to appear in a Las Vegas lounge, and it was right here at the Flamingo, ladies and gentlemen, Shecky Greene.
I'm home.
In the early days of Las Vegas, a performer could not even say damn or hell on stage. Then one comedian did a routine that actually changed the moral behavior of stand-up comedy. You better goddamn like it.
Well, we have more ways to describe dirty words than we actually have dirty words. That seems a little strange to me. It seems to indicate that somebody was awfully interested in these words. They kept referring to them. They called them bad words, dirty, filthy, foul, vile, vulgar, coarse, in poor taste, unseemly, street talk, gutter talk, locker room language, barracks talk, bawdy, naughty, saucy, raunchy, rude, crude, lewd, lascivious, indecent, profane, obscene, blue, off-color, risque, suggestive, cursing, cussing, swearing, and all I could think of was
Fresh from a great telecast that aired just 2 weeks ago, his 13th HBO special. He's a little older, a lot wiser, and more outrageous than ever, the brilliant George Carlin.
Hello there. How are you? How are you? Hello. How do you do, my friend?
You got a bigger hand than I did, you son of a
While that was going on in Las Vegas, things were happening in Chicago, which had also become a hotbed for comedy with groups like the Compass Players and Second City. One of those actors took this new style one step further by turning his reality-based comedy into stand-up monologues using a chair, a microphone, and an imaginary telephone.
Hello. Hello. Oh. Hello there. I'm fine, thank you. And how are you? Fine, thank you very much. Is your mother there? I'm fine, thank you. Fine. Is your mommy home? I'm fine, sweetheart, fine. Listen, honey, where is your mommy? Oh, well, tell her when she's through. I'd like to talk to her, please. Don't tell me any more than that, dear. That's all right. That's all right. What are you? Are you a little boy or a little girl? Oh, why don't you ask your mommy? She'll tell you. Listen, honey, go call mommy to the telephone. And listen, oh, sweetheart, don't put the telephone on the hook now, honey. Put it on the table, sweetheart, because you put it on the hook.
Here's a man who was an actor and then became a stand-up comic and went back to acting. He's now one of the stars in the HBO comedy Curb Your Enthusiasm. Show your enthusiasm for the one and only Shelley Berman. Now, on stage, we already have 4 of the most articulate performers in comedy. But next comes a man whose ambulatory discourse is a phrenic partagon. Here's a video of one of the first times we met Norm Crosby.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, brethren, sisters, I think since time immemorial, for some reason, masculine men who are virile and astute and isometric tend to desecrate against feminine ladies who are voluptuous and soft and have pecuniary traits. Why they do this, I don't know. But this is a truth.
Ladies and gentlemen, the one and lonely Norm Crosby. They love you, Norm.
I have to tell you something, Larry. With all this extinguished gathering, to come out to that kind of an ovulation, God bless you. Wow.
It's great to have you in, Norm.
Thank you.
And now, all of these people have had such phenomenal success, but never, never has there been an explosion in show business like the public's reaction when they first saw Martin and Lewis. Nobody before or since did shtick like Jerry Lewis.
Show them how to do it. Yeah, like this, everybody. Ready? Go. They told me this is very good. Yeah, now we'll do another one. Okay, that's enough of that one. Let's... No, all right, that's all for this one. Stop. 1, 2. Now, if it... No, that's... All right, hold. 1, 2, stop. Now...
Ladies and gentlemen, without him, there would be no need for the dictionary to include the word tumult. But to say more, Jerry Lewis. So now, gentlemen and ladies, let me explain the rules. I will have a question for each of you, and then we'll open it up to the floor and let what happens happen. Okay? We'll go with the flow.
The thing is,
I don't know. Let me ask the first question. or do you need a phone? Anyway.
I'll phone it in, yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Shecky Greene. Shecky. You were credited with creating the phenomenon of the Las Vegas Lounge. How did that happen? What made the lounge special?
He needed to work. That is true. And I'll tell you why I needed to work. I had a home in Beverly Hills. I came into this town. I was at the Last Frontier Hotel. I stayed over 18 weeks. It was the first act to be held over in any hotel for 18 weeks. That's because I was still in jail after 16 weeks. And then I was signed by the New Frontier Hotel and the Riviera Hotel. And I said to them, well, let me work the lounge. They says, you can't do comedy in a lounge. I said, well, let me try it. And I tried it. And little by little by little, yiddle and yiddle and diddle, and a few Italians too, it became rather successful.
And there was a 5 a.m. show.
Not quite.
2:30.
No, 5 a.m. was at home.
Oh, but it was a 2:30.
2:30.
Different kind of show. All right, Phyllis. I think it's Phyllis or is it George? Who am I going to?
You just woke me up.
Okay, George.
What?
This is your...
I'm not taking Phyllis's question.
What kind of dress will you wear tonight at this? Anyway,
I'm wearing
George,
the beaded.
This is your 50th anniversary in show business.
That's right.
Your third book just came out in paperback. It's now number 6 on the charts.
Yeah.
13 HBO specials, 10 albums.
Yeah.
How have you managed to last so long at this level? As you examine yourself.
Well, good genes. The family lived a long time. If that's just for hearts beating or stuff like that. In terms of this business, I just learned at one point, I used to think I was a comedian who wrote his own material. And I always said that in interviews. Well, I write my own material. I was proud of that. And then I found out sort of one day that I was a writer who performed his own material. And it changed the way I looked at myself. And I found out I could write and turn this stuff out. So because I've been lucky enough to be prolific and turn out a lot of stuff, and the people stayed with me, all ages, I got, HBO helped me. I was lucky HBO came along when it did, and I grew with them from 1977 on. Those two things, writing and HBO.
That's good. Phyllis.
The best.
As the first female stand-up comic to headline in Vegas, how did you get here? What brought you to Vegas?
Blackmail.
Blackmail.
Yes. I think somebody offered to kill somebody. And I had a very powerful agent who put me in this very hotel with a trumpet player. My mind is gone, you know that. No, he was already dead. Harry James.
Harry James. Jerry, are you bored?
I beg your pardon?
No, never mind. Harry James, so you opened for Harry James?
I opened for Harry James, yes. And then years later, we did a 6-week tour together. He couldn't realize why he hated me so. And then we wanted to find out.
How? Why did he hate you?
He drank a lot. Harry. Yes. But Shecky, he did too.
Yeah. That's why Harry was my best friend.
Is that right? That's right. I love this town. I've played every major room in this town, Larry, before they found out.
All right, Jerry.
Yeah.
I think you answered that.
Oh, my God.
Everyone in the world knows of the success of Martin Lewis, and congratulations on a great book.
Thank you.
Jerry has written the story of Martin Lewis.
It's on sale now in all the bookstores. You'll see the pictures. You'll know it's us.
What many people don't realize is the partnership only lasted 10 years, from age 19 to 29, right? You were 19 when... How difficult was it for you to come back the first time and play this city as a single?
Not as tough as the sound is in this theater tonight. All the mics of the founders should be on so that if we want to be funny while someone else is talking...
Let me try to explain that.
Yeah.
Okay.
You understand?
Mr. George Slaughter has
said
said
all the mics of the performers should be on, and we should be able to hear ourselves a little better.
Yeah.
Okay?
I'm trying to give you the reason.
Because right now, it sucks.
Okay, give me... I'm going to give you the reason. No, Jerry.
I don't want to hear myself. I never wanted to hear myself.
I want to hear me all the time.
Okay. Jerry, let me guess. The audience can hear, and they're the one that last time I checked counts.
Yeah, but we're better when we know that we're getting over there.
You got to hear yourself.
No, I know that.
Tell them, Shelley, for Christ's sake.
What we're dying to do, what they told me to do.
He used the name of my Lord in vain.
I have a miracle up my ass. That's the only way I can hear anything.
What they told me to do was have an individual question for each person.
All right.
That's why the mic is on for that one person.
That's right. And then when we open it up, every mic is on.
Yeah, really? I never liked you in the first place.
He asked for all the mics to be on. The first thing he said to Shelley was, "Shut up." What the hell is that?
It wasn't my turn.
There's one more question for Crosby. And
Why am I last?
What?
Because you're the oldest.
You're the oldest.
Oh, okay.
What happened when you replaced Don Rickles?
It was wonderful. I worked in the main room, and then when Don Rickles, they decided to move Don into the big room and be a headliner, I took his place in the lounge. But I just want to add to something. You asked Shecky what the lounges were. They were an integral part of the overall Vegas picture. They were so important because they groomed young talent to go into the big room. Also, the founders of this town, some of them, when I had no formal education, some of them couldn't talk good.
We got 6 of them up here right
But
now.
they were brilliant. They were brilliant. They knew psychology. They understood. If you get a guy in the casino that's gambling, and he goes up to his room, you've lost him for an hour. But if he walks into a lounge, which is right off the casino, that was very open in those days, he hears the dice, he hears the blackjack, he wants to come back. So he'd have a drink and come back. The lounges were so important.
So there was a method to all this.
There was a method
You could hear
there,
the
and I had a
blackjack?
ball. I stayed 5 years in the lounge. I had the best time of my life.
What'd you say, George?
I said he could hear the blackjack.
They could hear the blackjack.
Oh, wow. They had microphones.
No, this black.
Can we get the audio guy to raise the mics on all of us, George?
Yeah.
Well, let's go to the guy. Remember, it's Stevie Wonder back there working the lights, so...
But it's Norm Crosby's
You
guy
could
working
have
the
Helen
sound.
Keller on the goddamn sound. But I understand. You didn't know about doing this show until about 8 months ago. Son of a bitch. Everybody's got 2 businesses, their own and
I'm
show
coming to
business.
you.
Could I yell about my breakfast this morning?
I'd say everybody talk at the same
Let
time.
Shelley talk. One of the prerequisites of a good host is to never lose control. And Shelley, one of your most famous routines was asking your father for $100 to become an actor. How true was that?
Is it my turn?
Not for long.
Because I'll tell you the truth, I've been out here long enough and I need to go to the toilet. Yeah. No.
It is an old group.
Listen, we're not founders, we're just the only ones who are left behind.
Good point.
We're still living, that's it. All right, you asked me a question.
How
I want to
true is
answer
this story?
I want to answer it.
All right.
But I forgot the question. No.
So did I.
The father and son routine.
Yes, great routine.
Well, it was based a lot on truth, but in fact, it was both my parents that I had to ask for money to go to acting school. It wasn't just my father, but you can't do a phone call where you're talking to 2 different people, unless you do it this way. So it was a phone call to my father, and it was basically true.
Let's swing it around. What did it mean, Jerry, for Martin
Is that
Lewis?
it? One question?
No, now we go for that. And the question...
You remember what Shelley
get
said
the feeling-
earlier? I'm going to.
Okay.
You know what? You know what it's like?
Get me out of
You
here.
begin to understand what it's like to be a background singer. You know, you get to do they do the solos. The big soloist is left. He'll be back soon. Shecky now, who can't play here, has been doing great. I propose that we get in front for a few minutes.
So you're doing very... Norm, how did you first meet Shecky?
Is it all right? I got to get permission.
Oh, yes,
Okay.
it's all right.
Shecky did the most...
Say it nicely.
All right. Shecky did the most outrageous things that anybody ever did in the history of performance in this town. Shecky drove his car into the water fountain in front of Caesar's Palace.
You're
Yes.
all right.
And when the security guard came over, waded into him, he rolled out the window and he said, "No spray wax."
Wonderful.
Wait, I met Shecky Greene in Tahoe. I was appearing at the Cal Neva Lodge on the north shore of Lake Tahoe with the great singer Robert Gullett, who came from Camelot. And one night, we only did one show, and Shecky was at Harold's, or Harvey's. Harold's? Was it Harold's?
No, I was at, you want to know something? I was at Cal Neva.
No, I was at Cal Navy.
No, you
you
were
were
not.
at Harold's.
No, you were not. You were not at Cal Navy.
All right, wait a minute. This is my story. I'm telling the story.
I was at Cal Navy.
No, you weren't. I'm getting out of here. I was at Cal Navy. He was working at Harold's Club or Harvey's, and he was doing a late show. So Bob said to me one night, let's drive over to the South Shore and see Shecky Greene.
I was on the
Now,
North
I
Shore.
had never... Let's drive over to the North Shore, which is where we were, and we'll see Shecky Greene, whatever. So I said, great, I've heard so much about him. Shecky was a legend in this town. I said, was a legend in this town. I said...
If you don't tell the story right, I'll be a legend
All
again.
right.
I'll tell you that.
I said, I would really love to meet him. So we drove over to the other side of the lake, whichever side it was, and we went to see Shecky Greene, and there was a sign in front of the showroom that said, show tonight, cancel. Now, Mr. Goulet walked over to the front desk, and he said, hi, I'm Robert Goulet, and I'd like to see Shecky Greene. And the girl said, well, there's no show tonight. Shecky is indisposed. He had a little altercation in the casino tonight. He was playing blackjack. He wasn't too happy with his cards, so he tipped over the blackjack table. He was a gorilla. He was. And Bob said, well, we'd like to say hello. Can we see him? He said, oh, sure. So he took us up to the room. Anyway, we went inside, and Shecky was sitting on the floor, handcuffed to the radiator.
Marvelous. It's a mini-series.
So Bob...
I know.
You know what?
That's
You know what
why-
I'm terrified of? I'll
That's
fall
why
over
you're
dead
last.
and nobody will notice.
That's why you're last. I'm telling a story.
Shelley, you know what you got?
Wait a minute. Let him finish the story.
Anyway.
I will, but he's getting laughs with his throw-ins. That's the key there.
There, that's good.
All right.
Shut up! So now Bob walks over. Bob, nothing phases Goulet, and Bob walks over and he says, hi, Shecky, how are you? Shecky said, oh, hi, Bob. He said, I want you to meet Norm Crosby. And Shecky said, hi, how are you? That's how I met Shecky Greene. I shook hands with him with the handshake.
And till this day, I still got the radiator.
Did you ever do the 7 words you can't say in Vegas?
No, the 7 words you can't say on television was, once Vegas fired me for the last time, I said, okay, I'm going to go to the coffee houses and I'm going to go to the campuses. By this time, there was a campus tour. And there was a different audience. You had the youth, you know, the younger counterculture movement beginning, and I knew I had a place to go. I had a place to put my stuff on. So I started working free in coffee houses so they would know. I said, listen, I'm not a fraud. I didn't just grow a beard and start doing things. This is coming from my heart. I worked free for about 3 or 4 months in coffee houses, and the word got around that I had something to offer. The 7 words was a piece of material I'd been hoarding. It wasn't fully finished. It was an idea. I write kind of carefully, and I memorize my stuff. And this piece of material was something I knew I could do in coffee houses. I knew I could do it at the campuses. I knew I couldn't do it here. So when they fired me from here, I came out of the box prepared. I had an idea and a name for myself.
Could you do it now here?
I could if I still knew it. I keep writing stuff and I don't know
But
the
you
old
remember
stuff.
the 7
I
words.
knew the. Oh yes, you want to hear them?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, the FCC knows it. The FCC knows them. Shit, piss, fuck, cunt, cocksucker, motherfucker, and tits. And they became part of the Supreme Court.
Wait, I want to tell you, that's Chris Rock's act right now.
For people who don't know, Larry, for people who don't know, those words went all the way to the Supreme Court in a case called Pacifica versus the FCC, and they decided they were indecent if played on the radio or television. So that was my little footnote in American
But you would
history.
not do it in Vegas now.
I don't have. I do those words in different contexts. Yeah,
But there's
I
no
don't mind.
words are out, right?
I don't have that piece of material in my head anymore. This stuff
Shecky,
is like
I gotta tell
basketball. You have
something.
to be in
I have a
playing
little
shape.
story.
Go.
If I have a little, are you through? I didn't
Oh
want.
yeah. I just say you
I
have
have a
to be
little
engaged.
story connected with words. Years ago, I did the Dinah Shore show. And I did a little phone conversation where I'm listening to my girlfriend who's giving me criticism of all the things I do. And one of the things I said, one of the things she said to me, and obviously you can only tell by what I'm saying to her, is, Shirley, I really think you're pushing now on faults I have, because, I mean, when two people are holding hands, can anyone ever be really sure whose hand is doing the sweating? So, and well, anyway, I went backstage after the rehearsal, and they said, you know, Shelley, this is a Sunday night show, and sweat is a very unpleasant word. My hand to God, I'm not lying to you. So they made me think of another word or throw the act out, and I finally came back with moisture. So I said, this is the way I said it, Shirley, you know, when two people are holding hands, can anyone ever be really sure whose hand is doing the moisting? I mean, and then there's the follow-up line. I mean, that's one thing a guy can't fight, and that's moisture. Well, the audience, when they heard moisture, they had a double entendre there.
Yeah. You know? Shecky, what about opening for Sinatra? There were many stories.
And they're all true. Now, there's his stories and there's my stories. Whose stories you want to hear?
Well, one of the legendary stories
Let me tell you, I have
did
a...
he
I
have you mistreated?
No, I'll tell you a little story. I have a love-hate relationship I had with Frank Sinatra. There was things about Frank Sinatra that I loved, and there's things about I despised because it reminded me of the things I was doing with the drinking and everything else. But Frank Sinatra called me, and he said to me, I want you to work with me in Miami Beach. He says, and I'll give you the same money you're getting in Las Vegas. I said, well, let me talk to my manager. And I had a manager 6'5", and it was knock-kneed, and he spoke with a lift. He said, you crazy? You gotta go work with the Sinatra. Go to work, you know. So I opened up with Sinatra, and things went well for a while. And I had to go eat Italian food 12 times a month, you know, I mean a week. And I finally said to him, let me go to the famous restaurant. It's a little Jewish restaurant. Let me go there, you know. And we had all of these little things going on. He gave me a ring. He gave me a monkey for my birthday. Very wonderful story, because he gave me this monkey, and I put the monkey in my room, and don't ever sleep in a room with a monkey. Unless you do it to the monkey back. Now, the monkey was not weaned. And every time I opened up the cage of the monkey would go and grab my breast and go like this. I took out bananas and I peeled the bananas and I showed the monkey. And I ate them. I gained 22 pounds feeding this man. Now, finally, I bring the monkey to a veterinarian. The veterinarian says, this monkey is not weaned yet. You know, I said, in the meantime, I'm walking like Henry Armetta. I got this thing sticking there. I wonder if Ava Gardner, she must have had a monkey that really loved her. You know?
Was it nervous opening for him, though?
No, I'm going to tell you about the opening. So now he and I went through this whole thing, and you know about the fighting and everything else, and the thing with the, okay.
You pulled the
I used to joke, I said, Frank Sinatra saved my life in front of the Fontainebleau Hotel. 5 guys were beating me up, and I heard Frank say, that's enough.
That's the line.
But, and this is very important, but, the next time I came back to Florida, and I became the biggest act down in Florida only because of the situation with Sinatra. That the people that saw me with Sinatra and the things that happened with Sinatra.
Now, George, when you listen to this kind of comedy, which is not the kind of comedy you do a different brand. How do you react to the Bermans?
Well, a joke is a joke. If you're listening to a person and they have a context and they do a switch on you, or they do an exaggeration, or they do an understatement, whatever the particular thing is in the sentence or the paragraph that there's, you get it. Because, you know, we do have good ears for comedy. Most folks do. There's always a guy in the office who's funnier than everybody else. There are senses of humor. My mother used to use that phrase, sense of humor. She wouldn't say sense of humor. Sense of humor. She would say, he has a good sense of humor. And that's really what it is. It's the ability to hear what's going on in the sentence or the series of sentences that makes it different, that changes, that does the switch on you.
Does it always count on surprise, Phyllis?
Oh, you keep...
She plays that so well.
Yeah. You did that. That was really good.
Boy, you surprised me. Well, no,
Comedy depends on surprise, right?
No.
The punch?
Not in my case. not
Only
in my
sometimes.
case, no. I depend on editing. I say as little as possible to get to the laugh. I want the laugh right now. I want it quickly. Like,
but the punchline is a surprise.
Well, you know you're old when your walker has an airbag. And you know you're old when somebody compliments you on your alligator shoes and you're barefoot.
See, now that's funny.
And you know you're old if you can remember a heavyweight fight between two white guys. It's just a helpful hint. The best contraceptive for old people is nudity.
What? I didn't get it.
What? I didn't hear that.
I didn't hear the last word.
Nudity.
Are comics good audiences, Norm?
Comics are usually good audiences. Comics, sometimes if you tell a story to a comic and he looks at you and they don't laugh, they're thinking, where can I put that? In the end. But what George said is absolutely right. The gift, the great gift that comedians have is to be able to put humor into situations, to find a way, if you want to tell a joke, but to make it fit a situation like we're here in Las Vegas. The people that come to see us are all, audiences here are the best in the world. They're wonderful. They come in to have a good time. And there's people, really, that come to this town, you have no idea, who move here thinking they're going to beat the casino and live here comfortably the rest of their lives. They wind up driving taxis. I was riding down the strip in a cab. I was going to a restaurant. And the cab driver seemed to be going the wrong way, so I reached over, I tapped him on the shoulder, and he screamed and lost control of the cab, went right up on the sidewalk, banged into a fence. I said to him, what happened? He said, I'm sorry, sir, it's my fault. You see, this is my first day driving a cab. For 30 years, I drove a hearse. Now, did you see what I just did? I took a joke, and because I made it about Las Vegas and the people in Las Vegas, I made it fit. That's what comics do. They make things fit. I'm going
to tell you, like exactly what he says. When I came to this town, I really didn't have the type of material for this. So I did everything off of the town, you know? Like Circus. I told my audience, I says, I call the owner of Circus. Says, why'd you call it Circus? He said, let me tell you what happened. With the
George, the Stardust, that's not your cup of tea, is it?
Well, what happens is 1 out of 2 nights I get more of my own people, and I kind of, there are just enough. HBO cuts across all demographics, age and religion, race, neighborhoods, everybody, has a shot at HBO. So it's like a crapshoot for me, though. It's just like the town is in the casinos. I am either going to get enough of my people that they're going to rule the room, it holds about 800, or I'm going to get so few of my people that I have to kind of whip the audience into shape. I do pretty well. The reason I keep coming here is because it augments what I do on the road.
But when you're not doing that well, when they're not responsive.
I just do my stuff, Larry. I don't have saver lines and saver bits, and I can't be who I'm not. I do the things that brought me to this point, and the things that people who really like my stuff expect and know. Or at least not, I mean, they know all the material, but they know the sort of thing I talk about. And they're willing to, people for the most, you know what's interesting? In spite of the fact that I'll struggle during a show, and I'll struggle with the folks, and I'll do the best I can, at the end, the applause is very, very, very big. and very throaty. There's a lot of that and everything. So I think a lot of people listen to my stuff. Who, you know, some of it is kind of like offbeat and weird, and I think they're listening as much as they are rejecting it. And that the trouble is, you think you're being rejected when actually you're getting their imaginations involved. That's what counts. You don't have to get laughs as long as you engage their imagination.
You ever bomb, Phyllis?
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. It's.
And when you do, what do you do?
You consider suicide.
But then comes the check and it makes up for everything.
Yeah,
right?
That's right.
You cry a lot.
Forget about it.
You ever bomb, Shelley?
Yes, yes. It's a peculiar sensation because you're up there and you know that it all works.
Yes, yes.
It works. But somehow you may run into something where they're just
what do you do?
not-
Do you still
what
you
do
just go
well,
through?
number one, a lot of flop sweat. Number one, you don't let them see
That's
the flop
moisture.
sweat.
Moisture.
Don't use that word.
Huh?
It's moisture.
Don't use that word sweat.
You have a lot of moisture.
Flop moisture.
Yeah. When I was a younger comedian, I didn't deal with it. I just told them how stupid they were.
That's right.
No, but I've known Shelley for many years. I want you to know about what happens to him when he does go off the stage if he feels that way. He may think he bombed, but he didn't. But how do you put...
Oh, I just want to tell you that I can't believe it. That was my biggest thing before. I don't know what happened. And so many people told me that. And I have no idea.
If I did that with my hair, it would come off in my hand.
Welcome to the Shecky Greene Show.
Come back, Shecky. We have about 10 more minutes, but one of the most important members of the group of founders is, of course, the Sultan of Insults, the guru of gotchas, the potentate of put-downs, the man without an act, Don Rickles. Don wasn't going to be able to be here tonight, so last week we schlepped all the way from Beverly Hills to the Century Plaza Hotel to visit Don for a quiet little chat. Watch.
The Comedy Festival. Don't get nervous. What made and makes Vegas special?
If you make it in Vegas, you really got a shot.
Even though the crowd and a lot of them may have been losing money, they still want to have a good time.
Oh, sure. We got guys coming in shorts and sneakers like they just got off a boat. And I said, why is that guy? He's in his underwear, for crying out loud. And the front guy says, he just dropped $30,000. I said, so why don't we go to a steam room and just sit in towels and find out all the losers and I'll do a show in the steam room.
When did it go from dress up to not
Well,
dress
you know,
up?
in the days of Miami, you know, I used to have to put the jewelry
You had to
in
wear a
Vegas,
tie.
too. When I worked in the headline, when Johnny Carson was still, when I worked in the main room, used to come in with furs and diamonds and boom. And today, the guy sits in the front with his fly open, you know.
What
And you
changed
pretend
it?
it's like it's a bird flying. You don't even look. You just...
What changed it? Did America get casual?
Well, no, the people today, you don't wear a tie. You're the only one left wearing a tie. You think Al Capone's alive.
You ever have anyone really get ticked? Take it the wrong way. Not read you right.
In my beginnings, but never in Vegas. Because we had guys, meet at these in the back, when a guy said, I think... And all of a sudden, there was a stretcher and he was gone. We had guys in the front door going, how many in your party? You know, guys that just went to Harvard, you know. You don't yell at them, you just say, shut up, and you laugh. You can't, if otherwise, oh! One night, there was a guy in the front was screaming, a chain was around. And it wasn't jewelry, they were dragging them out, you know. No, they were very good that way, they protected you. Because then it was, they say the mob, it wasn't the mob. It was just nice men that ran the hotels.
What happened in Montreal?
Well, Montreal, there was a guy, there was a wise guy, and you know, and you're sitting in the front, and I said, is that your wife? He said, yeah, that's my wife. I said, oh, it looks like a moose. You know, you put her on the wall over the fireplace, you know. I said, what was that, funny? It was like Goodfellas, you know. So he came backstage with 3 other wise guys and said, tell me that again, call her, tell me she's a moose. I said, you know, Charlie, I'll make up a name. I know the guy. I said, Charlie, you understand? It was a joke. Huh? Well, make her laugh now. Call her a moose. If she laughs, I'll forgive you. She didn't laugh, and he was starting to go, really, and he said, no, take it easy. And the guy was really teed. So I picked up the phone and called New York. And the people I know in New York called somebody in Brooklyn. And from Brooklyn, they called a guy that was in prison who called another guy out of prison. And then the guy came back the next night and said, this man's a genius. My wife's a moose. The man went, bravo. Bravo for the broad. This broad's a moose. This kid's so bright.
Did you ever, even starting out, work where you just told jokes? Did you ever do a standard stand-up?
That was
you
the
did?
worst. That was, I can't.
You were not good.
That's correct. So bright. So it scares me how bright you are. No, I can never tell a story. I can never tell a joke. If you gave me a lot of money, I could not tell a joke. I did bad impersonations. And that's how it started. So when the people would stare at me, I'd start to say, don't you find this funny? I'm killing myself, you know. And I started to talk to the audience, and they started to laugh. And then I skyrocketed, became a star, and I'm on this Mickey Mouse thing now.
And the question now is, and anyone could jump in.
The host is back.
Anyone can jump in, okay? Yeah. And I'll start with Mr. Lewis, but the question is the same. What does Vegas mean? What did Vegas mean?
A job.
What did it mean to you? What did it mean to Martin and Lewis? What did it mean to career?
Well, remember, we had all performed live before Las Vegas. And it was in theaters. It was vaudeville. It was burlesque, whatever it was. Remember something, Larry? There's no place for a young performer to be bad anymore.
Yes, there are.
We had vaudeville, burlesque, the Catskill Mountains. We had one-nighters. We had concerts. But when you came to Vegas, you were a part of the audience. They identified with the performer, and you had this pretty much like we have tonight. It's a marvelous thing for a performer to have that feeling of the audience close. Moreover, it's equally as good for the audience to be that close to the performer. And it became very, very much living room kind of performing. None of us, I believe, ever performed differently on the stage in Vegas than we did in our home when we had 20 friends over.
But did it feel better or different?
Oh, God, yes.
Yeah.
But Jerry, what about all these places? You say there's no place to begin or learn anymore. What about all these comedy clubs all over the country?
Yeah, did you ever see
we didn't
one?
have them then.
No, but he says there's no place now.
No, there's still no place.
Well, what about all those places?
They kill time. Did you ever hear anybody say, I'm going to go and hear a comedian? They say, I'm going to go see a comedian. But in the comedy clubs, it's all cerebral combat.
Wait a minute. Big stars have come out of the comedy clubs.
Yeah, that was 20 years ago, Shecky.
Right now, the biggest stars are coming out of comedy clubs.
Seinfeld.
Ray Romano, how about that?
Seinfeld.
The kid from Seinfeld.
Go ahead.
How about those
Chandling.
people?
I knew I was wrong in the first place.
I got something I want to say.
Let me tell you.
Let me say.
Wait, just a moment. You were wrong to this point. There were different things, different venues for us. We worked like small little clubs, a little bigger club than the Shapery, than the Copacabana, and this was the epitome of everything is coming into Las Vegas.
Right.
Yeah, this was it.
Right.
Then, all of a sudden, the newspapers and the Time magazines and all that kept, he's a Las Vegas comedian, which put a stink on it. You know?
What did it mean to you, George?
I want to point something out about comedy, because, you know, there's a media question you always say, well, where's comedy going today? Where is comedy? Comedy isn't a thing. We are each comedians, each of us has a completely different identity. If you look at all the comedians who have made it, Steve Martin, Richard Pryor, Eddie Murphy, Robin Williams, any number of them, everyone has a distinct personality, a distinct way of offering his comedy, and we're all different, so we came different paths. I came thinking I wanted to be in the movies and everything. I came on the I Want to Be Danny Kaye boat, but I didn't understand that basically I was a coffee house comic underneath. I was kind of an anti-authority guy.
But what did Vegas mean to you?
Vegas meant, frankly, at that time I still thought, this is me, man. I got to have a bow tie and I got to get reviewed. You got reviewed in Vegas. Variety reviewed these shows, and it was important to a career. But I spent 5 years here, and I finally said the word ass one night and got suspended. And another night I said the word shit. Can you say that on a DVD? I said shit, and I got fired. I said, listen, folks, I don't say shit. Buddy Hackett says shit. Red Fox says shit. I don't say shit. I'll smoke a little of it, but I don't say it. And that got me fired, and that changed my life. But Vegas was very important to me because it boosted my career.
Norm, what does Vegas mean?
Larry, the original question was, what does Vegas mean? It was a milestone. Like Jerry said, when you played Vegas, you were considered an act. When you did the Ed Sullivan Show, you were considered successful in show business, and we all did it. It was a milestone. That's what Vegas was. It was a milestone in your career.
Nuts.
Shelley, what did it mean to you?
I was afraid. I was really afraid that they wouldn't enjoy me here.
Did they like you right away?
As a matter of fact, when I came to the Sahara, they liked me right away. But the first place I worked here, I think, was the Flamingo.
We're in there, Flamingo.
That's where we are.
Yeah, but they weren't a
think
very
that's what the
smart
sign
audience
says.
at that.
Bingo.
Yeah,
Bingo.
Oh.
yeah, it was, and I was a bit smart, snotty, smart. And so I was worried that I could never make it. But after I established myself here, it was wonderful. The audience was wonderful.
How do audiences treat you, George?
Well, this is
Here.
a difficult city for me. I do about 70 concerts a year in people's hometowns, in theaters that have about 2,500 seats. Seattle, Miami, everything in between, Dallas and everywhere, New York. And this is another trip for me. And the audiences here are not hardcore so-called George Carlin fans. You get a mixture here. You get guys in short pants with coupons who got black socks and flip-flops on. You know, it's a mix.
Yeah, but can I ask you something?
And they don't all understand the kind of stuff I do. That's all I want to say.
Isn't yours mostly concert type now? Even if it's an audience coming into a place in Las
concert,
Vegas.
it has come to mean I'm alone on stage for a long
Yeah,
time.
but that's this particular audience is coming in directly to see you.
Yeah.
They know exactly what you're
But they
doing.
don't. You see, that's just it. You get a lot of people in Las Vegas, I do, who kind of like, oh, I remember him. He's you see him on Carson? Yeah, you know. When I go to hometowns, man, they're waiting 2 weeks. They bought a ticket.
They know the bit.
You know, I'm the whole evening, Friday night, Saturday night. Man, George is coming to town, if you pardon the immodesty here. But here, you could be a Tiger act, you might be a Spanish dancer, and they come see you because you're an also.
Yeah.
You're a maybe we'll go there.
What's
maybe
it
we'll
like
go there.
then?
Who knows? And
What's
I
it
get
like
them.
for a comic when you're doing your shtick and they're not buying it?
Yeah.
What do?
I force it down their throats. You know? I just do what I do, and sometimes I have to give them little pep talks, and they don't mind that. I tell them what they're doing wrong and how to loosen up. I say, loosen up, for God's sake. And they come along with me, but it's a struggle, I'll be honest with you.
Larry, Dean and I played the Flamingo in 1947. We were working for Benny Siegel.
Bugsy Siegel.
Benny Siegel. You like being a host? So we're there 2 weeks, and we had just come from Atlantic City. And they were paying us $3,000 for the act. That meant $1,500 apiece.
A week?
A week. Benny Siegel sends for me through Gus Greenbaum, who came to see me out at the pool, said, Mr. Siegel wants to see you. I walk into his office, there's 3 or 4 nice gentlemen, they call torpedoes around the desk. And I don't know from anything, all I know is he's the head man. You wanted to see me, Mr. Siegel? He said, let me ask you something. How does a 19-year-old, wet behind the ears comic run up a tab of $185,000? I said, how does an owner of a hotel allow this comic to run up a tab? And he looked at me and he shook my hand and he said, you pay it when you can. It took me almost 4 years, but I never ever said anything to anyone but Gus Greenbaum for my tab, which I had lost in blackjack and 20, whatever the hell I was playing. But the word got out that Martin and Lewis had a word and their handshake meant something. And to this day, I meet wise guys all over the world that will allude to that time, and we're talking about 58 years ago.
Wow. Let me tell you something. The things that happened in Vegas at that time, if you were drunk, getting in a little trouble, the police, we all knew the police, we knew the people in the hotels and everything, they would take you home. So happens I didn't have a home here, so they took me downtown. But I'm going to tell you that I see such a change in this. I could not possibly work this town, no matter what room you put me in. No, there'd be no way. No way. I could have all the HBO experience. I can have the movies, everything else. Nothing. I could never work this town.
Why?
Because I have no feeling. I'm 80 years old, and I have no feeling to stand up and say, you want to know something? It's very strange to make people laugh that have been gambling. Think about that. Some guy stuck about $25,000 at a crap table. And the pit boss says, you want to see a funny kid tonight? Yeah, my bus don't leave for another half hour yet. Wait a minute, maybe I can work here. Okay.
Before I ask Norm.
Yeah.
Phyllis, was it harder for a woman?
The thing is, it's hard. Comedy is hard. Oh, well, somebody said that. Dying is easy. Comedy is hard. That's right. And it's true. We all know that. It's the hardest thing in the world to do. So it wasn't any harder for a woman than it would be for a man. It's hard for men. It's just that women don't have that kind of guts or motivation.
There weren't many women comics.
There aren't any. Oh, there are now.
I know, but you were one of the first,
They're
right?
all my children.
Well, there was Don Bell-Louise, you can't forget that.
Let me tell you about women comics, and I'm sure Phyllis will agree with this. We had a lot of lady comics, but they were out of New York. There were the girls that worked the mountains and things like that. We had Jeannie, what was her name?
Pat Carroll.
Pat Carroll, but Jeannie who? Jeannie Carroll. We had Kay Ballard, people like that. Everybody walks away. That's why I cannot work Las Vegas. I'm in the middle of a conversation, and this putz walks over there. I'm going to tell you, I had breakfast with this man. I want to tell you, how could you have respect for men? He has matzo bread. I don't know whether you know what matzo is broken up, and they put eggs and water and stuff like that. He has it burnt and cremated. Hear what I tell you? 4 people have to come out with pads to bring it to him. And every time I come someplace with him, he walks away.
That's not true.
Now, let me tell you, I'll be over here if you need me, call me.
No, I wasn't. I had to get something from him.
Pazzaruna, ragazzi. Te fremano gore, mettaci da gare. It's a zingare.
Shecky, how has aging affected you?
There's only one thing that it affected. But other than that, I mean, I could still play golf, I could play everything. It's just that one thing that drives me crazy. And don't believe all those commercials you hear about on television. Doesn't last no 36 hours.
No. You know, what I hear is this. If it lasts for more than 4 hours, seek immediate medical help. The hell I will.
I heard a cute joke, and it kind of Bernie Brillstein. This is a cute joke. I love seeing Bernie. This man gets on a Pullman train, New York to Chicago overnight, about 9-10 hours. Goes into his Pullman car, and no passengers come yet. Now another passenger comes in to share the trip, and it's a woman. And normally Amtrak doesn't do that. You don't put a man and a woman in a Pullman overnight who don't know each other, but they were overloaded, packed trains, so they did it. Now they're in a compartment. A man gets in the upper berths, a woman's in the lower berth. The train begins for Chicago, and he starts to get a little chilled, and he leans over and he says, "Pardon me, ma'am, can I have a blanket?" And she says, "You know, we're only going to be together for 9-10 hours. Never met before, we'll never meet again. It's an overnight trip. Why not just for tonight? Why don't we play man and wife? You and me, man and wife." Guy says, "Okay." She says, "Good, get your own goddamn blanket." I want to thank you for coming. If I could wish anything for all of you, I only hope that one day you are loved and respected as all these artists are. May it be as beautiful as Phyllis Diller, articulate as Norm Crosby, gentle as Shecky Greene, sane as Jerry Lewis, tasteful as George Carlin, and calm as Shelley Berman. And be as fortunate as I am to be here with the people we love. Ladies and gentlemen,
Too late, he did it already.
ladies and gentlemen, the founders.
Yeah.